This is Judge Joe Brown, and you're watching We All Be News TV, the
News-free Dixie.
News-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Jimmie LUNceford's Jamboree Festival. The title of the panel discussion is Jimmie LUNceford and the Future of the Memphis Sound. The mistress of ceremony for today's panel discussion is Miss Jackie Murray. Jackie Murray is a professional actress, singer who has been on stage in several Memphis area theaters. She has also directed several stage productions, including the 2016 staging of the Juneteenth story, for which she won a Diversity on Stage Award for the Best Director of 2016. You can also see her in several local commercials and award-winning films. Jackie is the mother of two and grandmother of one. Now let's give a hand for Miss Jackie Murray.
Thank you very, very much, Miss Callie Hurd, for that introduction. I am very pleased, and I want to thank Callie and Ron and We All Be Group Inc. for inviting me out to be the moderator today. First, I would like to give a brief bio of each of our panelists who are here today. And then after that, they will be able to answer some questions that I am going to be asking them. Each panelist gets 5 minutes for their response, and then we'll follow that with our Q&A from our audience members. And each response during that Q&A will be for 3 minutes. Our first panelist is Sequita Monique McKinley. Sequita Monique is a vocal stylist, and she weaves stories, music, and images and ideas with a pure and honest, unique delivery of art and exchange. Sequita Monique is based in Memphis, Tennessee, where she has been performing for over 25 years as a songstress and an actress. She performs locally and across the United States as a solo artist, in an ensemble, as a choir member, and as a featured vocalist with various bands and musicians. She also performs for both private and public events, including arts education initiatives with projects such as the I Am a Genius program. Our next panelist is young adult Seth Taylor. Seth Logan Taylor is a 13-year-old 8th grader at Immaculate Conception Cathedral School, where he is a B+ student who plays both basketball and football and participates in theatrical productions. A junior life member of the NAACP, Seth volunteers in the Idlewild Church Pantry, at the Inglewood Men's Home, and the NCHC Birmingham to Montgomery Civil Rights Institute. Seth is also a youth ambassador on the Jimmie LUNceford Jamboree Festival Steering Committee. The son of Claire Christian and Jeffrey Taylor, Seth attends Mount Joyner Church and has yet to decide on a career path. Our next panelist is our founder of the We All Be Group, and that's Ronald Hurd II. He's also known as R2, C2, H2, the artivist. As I said before, he is the founder of the We All Be Group, Inc. Hurd is currently an African American history, historian, artist, and doctorate student. Hurd illustrated, wrote, and self-published a book on James Reese Europe entitled James Reese Europe, Jazz Lieutenant. The book is listed on the Smithsonian Institute's Jazz Books for Kids and Young Adults list. Hurd is also the founder and organizer of the Jimmie LUNceford Jamboree Festival. And we know that he is a Memphis music legend also in his own right, and a fellow Lunsford enthusiast. Our last panelist who just snuck up in here is Epe Abiyoto. He is a musical philanthropist and artistic director of Genius Unlimited. He specializes in children's music and cultural entertainment. Since his career began in 1974, people of all ages and cultures have enjoyed and been enriched by Ekpe's performances, recordings, workshops, and lectures. His motivational learning workshops on self-esteem, creative thinking, conflict resolution, drug prevention, and gang awareness have been well received by students, teachers, and administrators. As a musician, producer, recording artist, songwriter, and art educator, he plays African instruments: the djembe drum, kalimba, which is the thumb piano, the shakir, and others.
Shakerette.
See? I knew that was going to happen. The shakerette. And the flute and the saxophone. See, I can pronounce those. He gives entertaining and educational performances at schools, churches, festivals, colleges, and universities, and is currently promoting his 2 CDs entitled I Am a Genius and the Spirit of African Music.
And a new one called Black on Black Love right now that Sakita also is singing on.
Okay.
Black on Black Love.
Black on Black Love.
Yes.
Okay.
That's okay.
And his interactive music video, Don't Touch a Gun, has been recognized and used as an effective means of keeping guns out of the hands of children. Let's give a hand to our panelists today. All right, so I'm going to ask a question of all of our panelists, and each, as I said before, yes, okay. As I said before, each panelist is going to have 5 minutes to answer their question. But right now, I have a question specifically for our student panelist, Mr. Seth Taylor. First, Seth, I know you have an open statement that you would like to share with the audience. Are you prepared to do that? Okay. And then after you finish, I want to know why it is important for students or youth to know about Jimmie LUNceford. You have 5 minutes.
First, I would like to thank Ms. Hurd and the We All Be for this opportunity. Second, it's an honor to be on this panel with my distinguished panelists, also people who I can relate to. Getting ready for this panel was a unique experience. It wasn't like getting ready for any school project. It taught me a lot about Jimmie LUNceford. He was a band leader, musician, and a Memphian who made history. My research included reading articles, listening to Jimmie's music, and also listening to what other people had to say about him. I got the chance to go to Elmwood Cemetery and look at his grave twice with Miss Hurd and my grandfather. When you look at his tombstone, all you see is his name and the date he died. It doesn't even tell you about his accomplishments. Mr. Lunsford made history not because he set out to make history. He set out to make a difference. In search of making a difference, he made history. Now, answering the question.
Yes. The question was, why is it important for students or youth to know about Jimmie LUNceford?
It's important because it lets us know that we can make a difference in other people's lives, especially ours. And it doesn't take a lot. You can have nothing and still contribute to your community.
Very good. Thank you very much. Now, the question that I'm going to ask for the rest of the panelists, and we'll start with you, Ekpe, was why was Jimmie LUNceford important, and what impact does it or can it have on the future of Memphis Sound?
Well, I'm going to come from an African perspective.
Okay.
As he said, rhythm is our business. So we talk about Africa. Africa is rhythm. And that was what really sparked, from my perspective, from where I'm coming from, speaking from a perspective of African history, you know, that rhythm that he brought to the table. In reference to coming from the South, you know, drums were outlawed. You know, you couldn't play African drums. You couldn't play drums, period, because of slavery, and the slave master knew that we were communicating with drums. And so when those drums were taken away, you know, we found other ways to communicate through the spirituals and other songs. So there was less, you might say, rhythm in the music, because when you think about those spirituals, those songs are more meditative, almost like a prayer in terms of the way they are, the meter, the way they're stretched out. You know, they don't have a whole lot of rhythm to them, but they are, you know, they're stretched out in terms of their meter and their, I guess well, of course they have a time signature, you might say, time signature, but basically they were, you know, they didn't have that kind of rhythm that we brought with us from Africa. Well, we never lost that rhythm. So to me, when Jimmie LUNceford says, rhythm is our business.
That's right.
He's coming from an African perspective, because rhythm is in Africa. Of course, you have other styles of music too. But rhythm, and you think about the South, and you think about the blues coming out of the South. So that's where he was coming from. When I look at it, when I think about that, you know, and just, when you really think about it, and knowing the history, our history in the South, how that drum was taken away from us. So it was like he had an itch. It was like an itch. It was like, it was just, it had to burst out. So that's what the blues was about. You know, the blues didn't start in New York. It didn't start in Chicago. It didn't start in Detroit. The blues started right here. That's why Memphis is very, very important. Going back to, you know, the statement that the young man was talking about. Memphis is important because Memphis was like a Mecca. People came to Memphis. B.B. King came to Memphis. Jimmie LUNceford came to Memphis. All these people came to Memphis. W.C. Handy came to Memphis. All these greats from other places came to Memphis. Now they eventually left Memphis because of the harsh conditions here, the way they treated black people here in Memphis. And in terms of as a professional, these people were professional people. You know, they were upstanding people. And so to be an upstanding black man in the South, That's a threat to the white establishment. So many of them left. They came through. They left. You know, they made their mark here, like Jimmie LUNceford at Manassas, and with those young people over there that he did. You know, and these people were Renaissance people, as you might want to use that term. He was a Renaissance man, as you might want to call it. And also, back in the day, you don't hear this term much now, that he was a race man. You know, people don't use that term much nowadays. A race man. He was, you know, like the term you don't hear this much too. You know, they used to tell you back in the day, you got to be a credit to your race. Be a credit to the race. Talk about black people. Be a credit to the race.
Yeah.
You know, what does that mean to be a credit to the race?
1 minute.
Okay. So that's what Jimmie LUNceford that's what he represents to me when he talks about rhythm is our business. He's speaking about that African rhythm that he used in his music. That feel, that's what he brought, and it had to burst out because it had been suppressed in the South. Black people could not play drums. And even to this very day, as a percussionist, I had to start. That's why I started doing my own stuff, because you know I had to. You know, I play percussion, sax and flute too. But you know, people sometimes are afraid of those hand drums, those percussions here in the South. They're afraid of that because that psychology is still stuck in us. It's still stuck in. I tell people about Stevie Wonder, right? He's an international. He has 2 percussionists with him, along with a drum. You know, you look at Maurice White. I got to talk about Maurice now, right?
Well, your time is up.
You can talk back on your.
Yes, but I will come back around. I will be coming back around.
Maurice White. I said Maurice. I just brought it back to Memphis. It all comes back to Memphis again. Memphis is like,
Yes.
Memphis ain't no joke.
No, it's not.
Memphis is no joke.
All right. For our next panelist, Ms. Saquita,
I'd like to hear that question again.
you will get it again.
Again.
And that's okay. Why was Jimmie LUNceford important? And what impact does it or can it have on the future of Memphis Sound?
So for me, Jimmie LUNceford was important for a lot of reasons, but the reason that that rings premier in the answer today for today's question is that his standard was very, very high. And we don't know who Jimmie LUNceford is except for through the works and the efforts of Ron Hurd and his foundation, and with the help of his mom and other people who supported this project. But we know him now, and we get to meet him with such a high standard. But the people that we've known, like Cab Calloway and Duke Ellington and the Glenn Miller Band, who he preceded them all. But we didn't know who Jimmie LUNceford was. So for me, as a music theater person, as a music person, and as a person with business in mind, Jimmie LUNceford set the bar high. And what that does, and how I think that's important for Memphis, is because sometimes we get the rap. I hear Ron refer to Memphis a lot of times in such a way where people make the reference, but he reminds us that we are not the city of the dead. There is life brewing, there is life rolling under that river and through these streets in the wind. There is something special about Memphis. But somewhere along the way, some of us lost sight of that. And I think the research that has been done about Jimmie LUNceford reminds us that our standards are high.
Yeah.
They are high in our homes, and particularly for this gentleman who has brought music education to the schools, they're high in our education. But they're also high in our approach, our response, and our presence in business. And that's important to me as a Memphian, as an artist, a lot of times we find ourselves trying to go somewhere else, as if we're going to make this discovery about ourselves somewhere else. But as a Memphian, as an artist, as an educator, as a shared member of this panel, I know that Jimmie LUNceford was important because the bar was high. And he's important in Memphis because we need to be reminded all the time that our standards are high.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Hurd, the same question. Why was Jimmie LUNceford important? And what impact does it or can it have on the future of Memphis sound?
I mean, Jimmie LUNceford was a righteous ancestor, and the ancestors are never past. When you look in the mirror, the ancestors stare back at you. Like, you look at that clip from 1936, he basically predicted the future. Because that's a music video from today. It could be, still fresh and new. The dancers, we have a style of dancing called juking here in Memphis that they do just like the Three Jacks were doing in there. And then, the fact that he was beloved by America's black community, not just the Memphis community, not just the Harlem community, but America's black community chose him to be the #1 band of choice for black people. That's why they call him the Harlem Express. But the fact that he set the example of giving back, of caring for your fellow human being, I don't know what type of black man at that time who valued education and community like he did. Where do you produce black men like that? I had the pleasure of going down to the Evergreen community outside of Folsom, Mississippi, where he's from. And to this day, his family still owns hundreds and hundreds of acres of land down there. They live on the land. They feed off the land. And, it's very fascinating to know that he comes from that type of people where his paternal grandfather came out of slavery on over 300 acres of land. So that's the type of people he come from. Then to be, grow up in Denver, Colorado, and to be taught by somebody like Wilberforce Whiteman, who is the father of Paul Whiteman, who is so-called king of jazz, whatever, but his father not only taught Jimmie LUNceford, but also Andy Kirk. And then the time when he comes to Memphis, Memphis is a jazz hub. At the same time Jimmie LUNceford was here, you got Mary Lou Williams, who is the mother of modern jazz, who was married to the saxophonist John Williams. She ended up playing and connected with the Clouds of Joy out in Kansas City. But the fact that Miles Davis said he could spell jazz history with 4 words, Charlie Parker and Louis Armstrong. Charlie Parker's dad is from Memphis. Louis Armstrong's second wife, Lil Harder Armstrong, who had a great impact on his career, is from Memphis. The cats that he played with in Chicago, like Erskine Tate for the Vendome Theater, who was the orchestra leader, he was from Memphis. He played with W.C. Handy. He goes to New York in 1924 to Fletcher Henderson's band, another ensemble, and the top trumpet player is a black man from Memphis named Johnny Dunn. So Memphis helped to elevate and push him into his rightful spot of greatness. But Memphis is a fertile place. It's on the Mississippi Delta. It's fertile ground for imagination, innovation, and empowerment. And the thing about it is, them white folks knew what they were doing when they named Memphis, Memphis. Because you look at Memphis, Egypt. I always go back, a couple years ago, the most popular video on YouTube, music video, was Katy Perry's Dark Horse. And it was set in Memphis, Egypt back in ancient times. And the featured rapper was Juicy J. From Memphis. Very influential group, 3 6 Mafia. They won an Oscar, right? So why does Katy Perry know the power of Memphis? And we don't know the power of Memphis. How come I go to West Baltimore and they love Yo Gotti and Young Dolph? I'm talking to Freddie Gray friends. They love it. Hey, you from Memphis, man? You're great. Go to Ferguson. Oh, man, you from Memphis? Go to L.A. You from Memphis? Come back to Memphis, man. Get the hell away from me. Right. They get from around here. But you look at the hip hop guys, like the Coles of LUNceford, that 2-beat sound extends into Stax, into America, into 3 6 Mafia. That distinctive sound, that danceable beat. And you look at early T.I., I'm talking about hip hop, rappers like Lil Jon, Ludacris, they always give Memphis props. They always talk about Orange Mound and North. They name places in Memphis. There are a lot of Memphis in North Mound. But when we come back, we don't see ourselves in there. People from Japan and Germany come here. They go to the hole and wall clubs in North Memphis. They go to them places, dilapidated buildings in South Memphis. They know the history. They don't, this recording was made in so-and-so date. So-and-so had the flu. He missed that time. So-and-so just got married. They know all the history of the side, man. But we don't know who we are. So Jimmie LUNceford was all about telling us who we are and what we could be.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to go back through our panelists one more time, and this time, each panelist is going to be allowed to share whatever it is that they want to as it relates to Jimmie LUNceford, this discussion. And you will have 3 minutes for your time limit on this one. Okay, so I'm going to begin again with Seth. So Seth, can you please share what you would like to as it relates to this Jimmie LUNceford discussion?
It's going back to the tombstone. I suggest that we should buy him a new tombstone and has his accomplishments, the day he died, the day he was born, all of that.
It's pretty charged on
Yeah, I was thinking that. Like, that's the other thing we gotta do.
Thank you very much.
That's a good thing.
Let's do ladies first.
Yes.
So, Shaquita, if you could, anything you would like to share as it also relates to this Jimmie LUNceford discussion?
I think what I would say at this point is to Ron and to Callie is that moving forward, I am forever a part of the team. And I think this is one of the moments that is most proud for me to be a part of. And that whatever the work is, whatever the word is, that I am forever a team member because the work is phenomenal. And I have learned and I have been elevated from my experience with this organization and this awareness for Jimmie LUNceford. So it's just been a treat for me to learn and to get to know and to feel that rhythm from Jimmie LUNceford, but also to know and learn and love the creators and the founders of this project. And I just say that I am forever indebted to you and that I am always on your team. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, next we'll go to Mr. Ekpe, Maurice White.
First of all, I'd like to say what she said. What she said.
Don't take your 3 minutes.
When you claiming my time, it was nice of you.
Take something, Seth.
But definitely though, because this is this really elevates things, like Sakita said, and everybody said it. It elevates things, because we have to go back and reclaim our roots. There's a term, African term called Sankofa.
All right.
Go back and reclaim that which is ours. So when you are going back to reclaim Jimmie LUNceford, that's opened up a door, opened up like a portal that's been opened up. It's just a whole nother thing going on now. When we really think about it, and as we say, start putting 2 and 2 together, and all these people coming out of Memphis. He was one of those that led the way. And going back to Maurice White again. But you think about Maurice White. Rhythm was his business. His thing was percussive. Earth, Wind and Fire was percussive, and he came from the African perspective. When we're talking about Memphis, right? Look at those album covers, the pyramids and all, and that black consciousness that was throughout all those albums. Every song that he talked about, So he was in that tradition too. So Jimmie LUNceford, he opened up that door for many people. They did not know that door was being opened up. Rhythm is our business. If you talk about, I'm going back to that again, because there's a whole string of drummers that have come from Memphis to this very day. You have drummers from Memphis that play with Stevie Wonder, Young Brothers, Chris Pat, he's a drum instructor. I just saw him just a moment ago at the drum shop, and he played on the tribute last night, one of the Hall of Fame tributes last night. Stanley Randolph, And you go back to Phineas Newburn Sr., who was a drummer. You know, and then you look at the whole Cunningham family. Carl Cunningham that died in the plane crash with Otis Redding. So it's a whole string of drummers. The drummer that was at, when you hear Motown, the original Motown, Pistol Pete from Manassas High School.
That's right.
30 seconds.
So that rhythm, once again coming from that perspective of that African rhythm. So that rhythm, he laid a foundation that needs to be talked about today. So that's why these panel discussions, it's making me think, about really connecting these dots once again.
That's right.
Rhythm was his business. That's really that sticks out. And when he talks about that. But then once again, he just laid that foundation. And people need to know. I mean, this should be something that, and it's being done. Once again, thank you all for presenting this. I mean, as a musician, this is just, I don't know what words to say.
I can't believe it.
You got me. I should have bought my drum in, so I gotta let the drum speak. Rhythm is the business.
That's right, it is.
And it reminds me of what George Clinton was talking about.
That's right.
He said, we talk about R&B, rhythm and blues. And George Clinton called it R&B. He called it rhythm and business.
That's
What
right.
he said.
Right.
Rhythm and business.
All right, and that's time.
Wow.
Okay, and for our last panelist for this particular question, please share, Ron, what you would like as it relates to this discussion on Jimmie LUNceford.
What
You
is
have
the
3 minutes.
Okay, well, think about what Brother Ekpe just said about the drummers. I always think about Howard Grimes,
Yes.
who was discovered and mentored by the late great Professor Anderson A.L.L.
Exactly
Jr.,
right, that's
who was
right.
a disciple of Jimmie LUNceford.
That's right.
Ended up becoming an apostle of Jimmie LUNceford.
right.
It's kind of like what I'm thinking about. We just lost Dick Gregory.
Yes.
And I knew him about 6 years. He's cursed me out Mr. Anderson A.L.L. was cursed me out before him.
Oh, Anderson
So
A.L.
I was used to getting cursed out. By interesting black dude. Yeah, but like the thing about it is, it's not what you say, it's what you do.
That's right.
It's what you do. And Mr. Abel, he basically took the blueprint from Mr. LUNceford and took it to the next level in terms of helping black kids empower themselves through music and create a foundation of excellence for themselves throughout their lives. And I think that this music thing is more than just mere entertainment.
Oh, for sure.
Jimmie LUNceford saw the music thing when he started Manassas as a rites of passage for young black boys and girls. So it was women, ladies in the band too as well.
And I just want to chime in very quickly. That's an African perspective, rites of passage.
Rights of passage, yes, sir. And we're missing that right now. And Memphis could benefit a lot from that excellence of, like, I always tell people, you should practice religion. Whatever your other religion may be, you should believe in yourself always. The trinity of me, myself, and I. Believe in yourself. Manifest and do what you want. Because Jimmie LUNceford, money was not the end, it was a means.
Right.
To me, it's more important to have willpower and knowledge of self as the foundation of your education. Because without that, you can't really do anything of note. And I believe that if we reintroduce this into the curriculum, it's about institution building.
That's right.
It's like down in Alabama, they take pride in their football. It's a dynasty because they build an institution around it. We must build an institution around Memphis music and instill that back in the schools once more.
All right, thank you. Now, we're going to take some questions from our audience members. Each audience member gets 1 minute to ask their question, and then each panelist will be given ample time to respond. Okay, do we have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question of all the panelists. I want to know, how do you make people want to know their history and their music and want to value themselves and to share it with others and do that movement that Jimmie LUNceford did back in the day?
And we can go right down the...
You understand what I'm saying?
Say that again. Once
Okay,
again.
like, we're preaching to the choir. We know. But a lot of times people be comfortable in where they at, right? And they always work when we always post. We do things post. And something happens instead of pre. And I know I've been student teaching lately. And I've been mostly concentrating on the elementary kids. And they don't know anything. And they don't even know how to use their critical thinking skills. They don't know how to talk and know what's going on in the world. And I always ask them, do you know what those football players are doing? They're doing it for y'all. It's big. They say, oh, how? I said, because you are the future, you are our legacies. So how do we make people realize that when we do something, it's not about me doing it for me. We're trying to do it for the masses and let them wake up and let them share the glory that Jimmie LUNceford was trying to do with the rite of passage.
Start with Attn and make our way down to Ron.
Yeah, so we have to, you know, just call his name and talk about him, you know, talk about him and do what we do as we do musically. Like, it's making me think more and more, you know, as we do these performances. You know, several groups that we do. And African Jazz Ensemble being one that we're really doing some things right now. And we talk about Maurice White, we talk about the musicians, we do some Coltrane music. We may have to throw some Jimmie LUNceford in there, you know, with African Jazz Ensemble.
That's right.
You know, so that's how you do it. You present the music and you present the philosophy of the music, of what he was about. So this is just another motivation, once again, to play some of his music, add it to the repertoire, so people can understand who he was and talk about him, you know, so people can know. It's just a matter of, as they say, African proverb says, as long as you call a person's name, their spirit is still around.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
So I, too, as a response to what Callie has asked, I think one way that we can give to this community, I think is what you're asking, is that we assume the responsibility, like Ekpe said, in our individual lives. We began to learn more about not just the music that Jimmie LUNceford played, but the way he lived, his character, the fact that he wanted to provide housing for retired musicians or professional musicians gives us an insight about him that was just like what she said. It was not about him. It was about a community of people. And when we began to think collectively, then it's inside of me, but everything I do begins to share what it is I believe in, what it is I think about, what it is I support. So it's not like I take this idea and put it on as it's convenient. It becomes a way of life. So the way I walk, the way I talk, people see that, and I want them to see that Jimmie LUNceford in me, and by seeing it, hopefully it encourages them, and then maybe they know that collectively we are what we think. We're not just what we eat, but we're also what we think, and we began to train ourselves or teach ourselves how to think about certain things, ourselves in particular. I think that we've made some leaps and some bounds. And that's a continuous. We just have to do that always.
Okay. Seth?
Wise
No response?
man.
All right,
I was just thinking about what Sister Shaquita and Brother Ekpe was saying. Like, we're in the library where Richard Wright checked out books decades ago. Last century, one of the greatest novelists actually just come to this library and check out books here. That's how special Memphis is. You know, he grew up in New Chicago, Richard Wright did, in Manassas High School, around that area. And to think about all that, you know, you think about the fact that he was willing to use white men to get what he wanted by any means necessary. Jimmie LUNceford was willing to do whatever it took to get that world-class band started. But also a man who wanted to fly, who defied the so-called system. I'm going to call it white inferiority. It's not supremacy. It's white inferiority. The fact that a black man would have the idea to not only fly but own his own airplane back in 1940, Jim Crow America, cost him $20,000 in 1940 money during the Great Depression to do that. To me, shows that if you have a certain concept of yourself, there is no limitation on what you can really do. If you truly believe in yourself, it's kind of like when Michelangelo, the great artist, would go to the quarry in Italy. And before, he picked out a stone, or before he carved into the stone, he could actually see the masterpiece already there. Just didn't take a little bit of work, dedication to get it out to manifest, but it was already in his mind. There was a masterwork in that stone. That's what Jimmie LUNceford saw in black people.
Exactly.
He saw a masterwork, a masterpiece of a people, of a humanity in that stone. And when he laid that foundation down, like, you just think about what did he tap into? I think about Clarksdale. I mean, this area of the country, we're talking about it's the Delta. It's fertile with imagination and with food and food for thought. You look at a place like Clarksdale with less than barely 20 or 2,000 people, produce people like a side sample, Ike Turner, Sam Cooke, John Lee Hooker, Muddy Waters, smoke weed every day, Nate Dogg, and Rick Ross the rapper. That's just a sample size of the greatness that come out that small hamlet, that small village. And that's where Bessie Smith died, the Queen of the Blues. But the blues didn't die with her. Because we are people that are about life. We are a son people. You know what I'm saying? God's son, S-U-N. That's who we are. We are the melanated ones, we're the chosen ones. We can manifest whatever we want to. Just gotta believe in ourselves. And that's what Jimmie LUnceford did, believe in himself.
One more question from the audience. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I would like to know, this question is for Ron. Like right now, I feel that I'm in a place where I'm being realigned, and God has just put me on another path of being more enlightened. And so I know that my path is crossed with you and the others who are in this room at this time. And so I'm feeling that, and I want to know, for every project that you've done, how do you go about, and are the ancestors coming to you one-on-one saying, speak on me right now? You know, how was Jimmie LUnceford?
Really want to know that.
I do. Because it's so important, and it's like, I've learned so much just by knowing you and Callie, and, you know, just about our history. And I know that personally, I can't move forward and become great, be a hero, shero, until I'm educated more on our ancestors. So how do each one come up? Like, I know you got another project lined up.
Yeah, I got a couple. But,
Yeah.
I just get through this week.
I know one is
Yeah,
so why Jimmie now? At this time?
Because, I mean, you look at Black history, we're really superheroes and cheetos. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at all these comic book heroes that they have these movies about. The X-Men, Professor X was Dr. King, Magneto was Malcolm X. Look at Wonder Woman. I mean, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Ida Wells Barnett, Mary Church Terrell, women that did some phenomenal things for their people. They rep for our people. Superman. What about Paul Robeson? What about Jack Johnson? What about Joe Louis? What about Dick Gregory? What about, you know, I'm saying, like, we are our ancestors. They don't go nowhere. They, you know, every time you look at that mirror, they looking back at you. And I always tell people, when you wake up in the morning, I like to check my social media too, like everybody else. I'm programmed. But take some time out and just try to sit still and be quiet and see what speaks to you. You know, like I used to go to cemeteries. I love going to cemeteries, right? Especially in Elmwood. So sometimes I go to Mr. LUnceford's grave. I'll play my horn, eat some lunch. Sometimes I just sit there and sit still, just to listen, just take a moment to understand that, you know, these people had titles, they had families, they had a life, but when God calls you to come home, ain't nothing you can do about it. Because the day you're going to leave, you had something to do that day. You know what I'm saying? I don't think people who came through this year was expecting not to die. They would spend that or make it till next year. All we got is just this moment. So you got to learn how to invest in the moment. And you can never go wrong in investing in yourself. I don't care how much money you spend on you. You learn from everything that you go through if you have an open mind. And if you have not gone through anything, you don't have anything really worthy to share with the world. You know what I'm saying? Because you have not been tested. Because how can you be somebody of worth but never been tested? Never had that moment of truth that you had to either accept who you are or reject who you are. But nonetheless, you have to make a choice. A lot of people walk around here not making choices for themselves. They walk on their spiritually dead, and that's worse than being physically dead. To be spiritually dead, a spiritual death, a mental death. And to me, you get somebody like Jimmie LUnceford, Hollywood could not make up a person like him. You know, a lot of our people, like Dick Gregory, Hollywood could not make up nobody. If you read the stuff he did, and you try to do a script based, like, this is not real. This is not realistic. That's who we are, because we are the universal people. Soul, not soul, but soul.
Yeah.
We got a special connection to the universe.
Yeah.
That's why black folks can't figure it out. Because anytime black power, you know what black power is? Black power is unity and solidarity. That's the foundation for humanity. White power is divide and conquer. This system is white power. But God love is black power. It's melanated, it's rich, it's warm. That's why we God's people, we the sun people. So we got to activate that and never forget that. Regardless how dark it may get out here, we got a light inside of us that needs to shine bright and be amplified by us loving ourselves and loving each other. So be willing to go out there on a limb. Jimmie LUNceford was willing to go out there and took a chance on black folks who had no knowledge of self. And instilled in them, remember that beat. He said, remember that beat. That's our business. That's our family. Not just our business. That's our family. That's our way of life. That's what we have to give to the world. That's our gift. So you should never forget that you got a beat, your heartbeat, that you need to share with the world and it help amplify. And let your sun shine so bright. Because speaking of sun, and Maurice White was a big fan of Sun Ra.
Yes.
Then Sun Ra was a big fan of Jimmie LUNceford.
Yes.
You see how it works.
Yes.
So you look at Lucy Campbell. You know, look at that's the mother of gospel music. Taught just regular classes at Booker T. Washington for decades. But she is the sister that gave us Mary Anderson. Mary Anderson debuted through the National Baptist Convention. And she was playing piano while she debuted. This is the opera singer, right? She also developed Mahalia Jackson. But she also developed Dr. King's favorite singer, who was from Memphis, named J. Robert Bradley. This is Lucy Campbell. She was Rush College class of 1927. Her classmate was W.T. McDaniel. Rush College class of 1927. Took over for Jimmie, like Booker T. Washington and Manasseh at the same time, right? But he helped develop Maurice White. So W.T. McDaniel, you know what I'm saying? We are master teachers. We master students, we master teachers, and we master givers. So be willing to give so you can receive whatever knowledge is out there for you to give in the universe. And also we're working on a project, a documentary about Mr. LUNceford, because it's important to create curriculum tools. Like I'm working on a couple of books, but also working on a documentary we're going to premiere next year's festival. So if you want to help everybody, GoFundMe.com/Jimmie LUNceford. Tax deductible donations, or you make a one-time donation at PayPal, r2c2h2@gmail.com. All this tax deductible is going to a great cause, because really it's not about money. The stuff we was able to do this week would cost tens of thousands of dollars. But when you are God's people and chosen, you have favor. Just activate the favor. Just activate it. Ask for it, receive it, and do what it do. Because rhythm is our business.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap up this panel discussion. And I want to thank both Callie Hurd and Ron Hurd once again for inviting me out to be your moderator for today. Let's give another round of applause for our panelists. Again, my name is Jackie Murray. You can find me online at jackiemurray.net or on Facebook at Jackie Murray, actress/director. Please friend me, like me, and I'm going to turn it over actually for a couple of words from Ron Hurd. If you could just wrap it up.
Well, I'm going to do like Russell Simmons. God bless, good night.